works, you to play. MiniWarGaming Speed, the cooler, bat rap.
Black Templars turn 4 begins, and pretty much they've got to try and stop those monstrous creatures. He advances up with his regular Marines here, heading towards that unit of Gaunts, because their guns will work pretty effectively against them. And yeah, from what I can see here, I totally forgot that the Trigon Prime has his regeneration, which should have been done at the beginning of my turn, the last turn, but oh well, it happens. And now we've got the land speeders flying around the corner here. And these guys, they've given up on trying to hold the objective here. They're just moving out because they're going to need to put every bullet they can into that, or every bolt that they can into that giant Turvigon, or Trigon. Man, all game I've been like this. One of them's the little ones. The little ones are Turvigons, the big ones are Trigons. Just ignore what I have to say about what their names are, because that's my intent. He's going to shoot the big one now. Shoots it with rockets. Does wound, it dies. And that's that for that Trigon, or yes, Trigon. Now he's measuring up to shoot at the Gaunts with his big group of neophytes who promptly miss. And his, or no, those are the initiates. The neophytes are, oh man, it makes no sense to me. The neophytes are the scout versions, and the initiates are the space marines in their units, because they can have scouts and marines in the same unit, and which is kind of neat. I like that about the Black Templars. They have something different, like the Space Wolves, instead of the regular tack squads that the Blood Angels and Dark Angels and Vanilla and Grey Knight all have. So that's something different, at least for Space Marines. Anyway, though, so they just kill some Gaunts with their bolt guns and rockets. Now they fire their rockets and bolt guns into the little Hormagaunts and Gaunts that are sitting next to that tank. And I failed my cover saves from the only guys who might have had cover saves, and so they're all dead. And the little Gaunts underneath the tank, one of them fails his save, and then the other one makes a save, and makes a save, and then dies. So those two are dead, and there's only 2 left. He then fires his other rocket at my Trigon, doing a bunch of wounds with his bolt guns, but really failing to do anything. 1 wound with the rocket, though. Now he fires his other rocket at my, or the fight begins in the close combat there. +1 attack, hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s, but he does get to reroll the 1s. 3 more wounds, and he makes 2 out of 3 saves. He's down to 1 wound left on his commander, and now he's got his attacks back, puts it down another wound. Tyranids Turn 4 begins. Actually held his own pretty well there. He killed the 1 Trigon and wounded the other one, and now I'm remembering my regeneration, so he actually regens back up to full. And these guys, they come running through the cover, barreling through it at 6-inch move. Oh no, that was his psychic check. He fails at perils, does not get his increased armor, and he's wounded. So he's down to 4 wounds, but the Doom, who was just kind of creeping along, is getting closer. And now the Trigon moves up on top of the hilltop there, and the Gaunts come around the corner. Basically, we're going to start going for the objective now, because if I can hold both the objectives, I win anyway. And these Gaunts move up because we just need to try and attack everyone who's standing on this hilltop, hold them into close combat while the Trigon goes unit to unit and kills everything. And so these Gaunts, they move up into the difficult terrain, coming around the broken tank. The other Hormagaunts, they advance, moving towards the Space Marines and their neophyte allies. And they're still pretty close to the Trigon, or Turvigon. That's why they don't have to test for instinctive behavior. And so the Gaunts in the back, who have done nothing, continue to do nothing, just creeping up the wall. And the Doom, he runs up and waits. And they don't have to test this turn because it's at the beginning of the shooting phase, so now he's there, and they will have to deal with the fact that the Doom's hanging out. He sends up his I send up my Hormagaunts running across the top of the hilltop, and I do believe I run the Gaunts near the objective. They just kind of run around the tank, getting closer to it. And the other Gaunts who are in the dangerous terrain, or difficult terrain, move up another inch. Just trying to get closer every guy can. And oh, that was my Trigon trying to assault, and he fails. The Turvigon commander trying to assault, he fails. They get to shoot it. 2 hits with bolt guns, they do nothing. The little Gaunts, though, they get to assault now. They do make the assault, and he can't stand and shoot because he chose to assault chose to shoot at the Turvigon. And so the Trigon, he also assaults. He gets right in there. They can shoot him, but they're not going to kill him. 2 hits and no wounds. And now we begin the fight between the commander and the Turvigon in the middle. And Turvigon got 5 hits this time. Failed to do anything. The commander attacks back. 3 hits and 2's to wound. And he fails 1. So he lives by 1. Turvigon's down to 1 wound. Just hanging out on that 1 wound, which is great for me because it keeps him in combat. And the Gaunts try and charge his neophytes and initiates, which he does get to stand and shoot, gets 3 hits and 2 wounds. So he kills the front 2 Gaunts, which makes their charge just that much further, but they do make it regardless. Because you are supposed to roll the charge distance after you've gotten the stand and shoot. After you've gotten the Overwatch, not stand and shoot. Keep forgetting what that is. Anyway. And so they attack in, they get a whole bunch of wounds, but he's got a 3-up space Marine save. So he saves 2, then 4, and then 6. And then he fails them both. But he made, statistically actually, he made just right. He should have made that many saves. But anyway, he saves a whole bunch. Then the Neophytes get their 3-inch initiative step. But unfortunately, the Emperor's Champion is not going to make it into the combat yet. So he just kind of advances along with the rest of them, but he will get at least those few little Space Marines against, or the Initiate Space Marines against my guys. And they get 2 wounds, and I have a 6-up, but I fail it, so they take 2 wounds, but they're hanging out inside of the bubble of fearlessness, so they just sit there. The fight here begins between the Trigon and those Space Marines, and he just promptly eats them. So they got to attack first, and the Trigon then gets to attack, re-rolling, because it was going through difficult terrain. And he eats them. 6 wounds, 5 guys, and that's the end of those Space Marines. He gets to wander off 6 inches, heading towards the next hilltop. Things are not looking good for the Black Templars, but hopefully they can kill the Turvigon HQ and just hang on for 2 more turns. It could end, or even 3. Ooh, scary. But anyway, hopefully they can hold on. He does still have Terminators left, and the God survives, holding off in close combat because he fails to hit it. And at the end of the phase, we can't remember if you pile in, but anyway, he piles in over here. And that is the end of Tyranids Turn 4. And basically, not looking good for the Black Templars. There's Termagants and Termagons and every kind of Terma something, or try something, all over the place. Black Templars Turn 5 begins, and first off, he tries to move through difficult terrain with the guys that are on the hilltop, just to hold the objective so that if any of them survive, at least they can contest it when those Gaunts come. The speeders zoom over because they're easy kills, or they can easily kill large monsters with their crack rockets. 2 hits, and his heavy bolter gets a hit as well. The missiles wounding on 2s get 2 wounds, and the bolt gun does not, so he's down to 4 wounds. The other rockets fire, and they get 1 hit and 1 wound, and the heavy bolters get 1 hit. And do they do a wound? Yes, they do. But he gets a save against the heavy bolter, so he takes only 1 more. He's down to 3. He then fires the missile launcher at point blank, along with the Space Marines there shooting at the... Or no, now the Doom begins. The Doom sucks up the 1 rocket's soul, along with 2 of the other guys nearby, and so he loses that missile. The guys in close combat there, they have to do a test, which they actually pass, but now his commander has to do a test, which he fails, and fails his invulns and dies. So his HQ goes down, the Doom gains a whole bunch of wounds, and at that point he does concede because he's lost his HQ and there's next to nothing left. So here it is, the end of Turn 5. Stay tuned for the post-game, and Vault members, stay tuned for the post-game show. Alright, MiniWarGamers, that is the end of this 1750 Tyranid and Space Marine bat rep. And if you want to get your own Tyranids and Space Marines, click down below. There'll be a link. And stay tuned, Vault members, for the post-game. Happy wargaming.